Today we're going to answer questions and statements.
Yeah.
There's something going on.
Yeah, I think it's triathlon type thing.
Oh, is it?
Next to that thing, they're doing bear crawl across the street.
So this is stuff that's put out by the pro-Palestinian camp. This teaching we call it Palestinian protester pepper spray. At Beta Venu we have a pepper spray series where we answer the issues of various doctrines. We have like an antinomianist pepper spray. That's for those who teach against the laws of Hashem. We have an Islamic pepper spray teaching that addresses how to defend our faith against Muslims. We have a Mormon pepper spray that goes over the fallacies of Mormonism. You're nice, but you're still wrong. They're nice people. We have pepper sprays that deal with Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, atheism. It's not just religion, it's also ideologies, and many other faiths and ideologies. Now, you may think you already know how to defend yourself or to defend Israel against these protesters, but I assure you, you don't know all their tactics. They have arguments you've never heard before. And if you're thinking, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to, I've never had to confront protesters before. Next Shabbat, we're going out there for those who want to go. We'll be meeting near the courthouse, that little park. What's the cross street there? Chelan and Arando. I think that's right. Good. That's where we'll meet. Kind of like this picture. That's an old picture of the courthouse. So it is possible, like I said, that someone may ask you some questions. Maybe not even a protester. Maybe just someone who wants more information. So today we're going to go over some of the points the protesters and the liberal news stand on to make their claim. Some of these claims are unbelievably outlandish. Some of them, there's just no way you would know how to answer them unless you've lived in Israel. And there may be one or two that you do know the answers to. You may know a couple of these, but I guarantee you haven't heard all of them. Unless maybe you heard some from me or something recently. And you don't have to come up afterwards, tell me you already knew all that. You don't have to do that. If you have, great, glad to hear it. Let's start with the first one. They will say to you, and this is one that's becoming quite popular. They will say, this is under the Israel is an apartheid theme. And it goes like that, this. They have Jews-only roads in Israel. Only Jews are allowed to be on them. Now, they have different ways of talking about this. They may call it, some will call it the apartheid road, right? Some will call it Route 4370 or the Eastern Ring Road, but it's all the same reference. So I'll explain what they're talking about, and then I will give you the pepper spray answer. So what they're talking about is a stretch of highway that connects the Gevah Binyamin settlement in the West Bank. This is a picture of it. It has been referred to by its critics as the apartheid road due to the fact that parts of it have separate traffic for cars with Israeli license plates and Palestinian license plates. We'll also talk about why there's different license plates. The charge of Jew-only roads in the disputed territories is part of the apartheid libel that attempts to portray Israel as a state that discriminates against Arabs on racial or religious grounds. That's the aim. That's the aim of it. The comparison is made not only with apartheid South Africa, but also past racial segregation that had happened in the United States. They try to compare these. The charge, however, is false. There are roads in Israel. This is what I'm saying. Some of these you wouldn't know unless you lived there. There are roads where different populations are separated from each other. But this separation is based not on religion, race, or ethnicity, but rather on nationality. Nationality. Jews-only roads simply do not exist. You wouldn't tolerate white-only roads in America today, would you? Israelis likewise would never tolerate roads for Jews only, because we know what that's like. We've seen that happen before to us. Notice, all the road signs in Israel are in Hebrew, even in the West Bank. Hebrew, Arabic, and English. If Arabs weren't allowed on the roads, there would be no sense in putting signs in Arabic, would there? They're not just for Jews. Israeli Arabs can drive on them. So can non-Jewish foreigners, including Arab and Muslim foreigners. So right there, it can't be a Jews-only road, can it? Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza were once able to drive on them as well. But they had not been allowed to do so since the Second Intifada. And that's when suicide bombers used these roads to penetrate Tel Aviv and Jerusalem in order to massacre Jews. There are some roads that have been closed to some Palestinian traffic, West Bank, Gaza, due to repeated shootings, bombings, and other attacks on Jewish and Arab road users. Again, not the Palestinians in Israel proper, not the ones within Israel. Before these attacks, there were no restrictions. The apartheid smear ignores three facts. Israeli traffic is also banned from Palestinian areas because of security concerns. You know how many Jews drive through Gaza? Zero. Zero. They're not allowed in there. They will stop you at the gate to Gaza. We're going to talk about the gate. We're going to talk about the borders. Israeli traffic, quote unquote, includes the vehicles of over 1 million. It's actually like 2. Closer to 2 million. Arab citizens of Israel who have also faced terrorist attacks. There's different kinds of license plates, okay? The Israelis have a yellow license plate. The Arabs have a blue license plate. If you're an Israeli Arab, you got a yellow license plate. And if you drive through the Arabic towns with that yellow plate, they will stone that car, regardless. On October 7th, it wasn't just Jews that got killed. They killed foreign nationals. They killed other Arabs when they were screaming at them, "I'm Palestinian, I'm Palestinian." They still killed them because of their plates. There's video of that. So it includes millions of Arab citizens of Israel who have also faced terrorist attacks and all road closures are temporary and subject to constant review by the Israeli courts. In other words, if they stop doing it, guess what? If there's no more attacks, the roads open up. It's for their own safety. So you got this road that's for the Israelis, and the reason what they did here is they said, okay, the blue license plates, they're not being attacked on this road. So they built this other road, put up a big fence so they couldn't throw rocks at them. These ones ain't going to have rocks thrown. They're safe. They're already safe, but they had to save the people with the yellow license plates too. That's why they put up the fence. That's why they go on that road. But it includes Arabs, Israeli Arabs, Muslims that come to visit. So it's not religious. It protects all those people. The Israeli-only roads are not an example of apartheid. The motives of the Israeli government officials are not to discriminate based on race, but a reasonable, temporary, and emergency response to deadly security threats for their safety. Gazans do not and never have allowed Israeli cars on any of their roads, ever. So why the different license plates? This, by the way, is the first female Arab combat soldier in the IDF. Usually the combat soldiers, they don't allow that. But now they do, and she's Arab. Israel rarely, sometimes they do, but rarely have any major problems with, Israel doesn't have many problems with the Israeli Arabs. These are Arabs who are citizens of Israel. They even joined the IDF. These are Palestinians that joined the IDF. And they defend Israel against the West Bank and Gazan Palestinians. Palestinians protecting from Palestinians. This is the first female Palestinian combat soldier. They've had all kinds of other positions, the Palestinians have, even in government, and now even combat soldiers. Not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just telling you what they got. There are over 2 million Palestinian Israeli citizens. They don't behave like the Gazans. They don't behave like the West Bankers for the most part. For the most part, there are some. Those Palestinians, those 2 million, are even attending Israeli universities more and more as time goes on. Look at this here. In 2009, it was only 10%. Now, by 2020, almost 20% of the Arabs are going to our universities. That's a lot. They're attending Israeli universities more and more. It's now to almost 20%. In America, only 39% of Americans attend university. 39. It's getting close. I'm not saying going to university is good or bad. I'm just saying. So my argument here is that there is no apartheid in Israel. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. I think there should be, in fact. I think that's why we had the problem in October 7th. Anyway, Gaza was its own country since 2005. Self-rule. Okay? They had complete self-rule. They literally, in 2005, the Israelis literally dragged Jews out of their homes. You guys remember that? We did a teaching about that. They dragged Jews out of their homes in Gaza, and they turned it all over to the Palestinians. It was its own country. The West Bank, before October 7th, was in the process of becoming its own country. It had already passed certain stages of being its own country. The West Bank was already mostly its own country up until October 7th of last year. So different countries have different license plates. right? Why couldn't the Palestinians in the West Bank have full rule then? Because they were still attacking Jews. Over 1,300 Jews just since the Oslo Accords. You can't let people who attack you have guns. Well, they wouldn't let them have a military. Yeah, because we're getting guns. Look what they do. Look what they do. Since it's a different country, Gaza was a different country, like they were asking for. They've been asking for that, right? They wanted their own country. Because of that, they've given them different license plates. Similar to the fact that America has different plates in each state. Okay? Similar to the fact that Canada and America have different plates from each other. It's a different country. That's not segregation. That's not apartheid. Trying to turn that into some kind of segregationist or apartheid situation is just as absurd as saying Washington State is apartheid because they have different license plates in Mexico. It's absurd. So the pepper spray for this point is as follows. So say, what about the Jew-only roads? The reply is there are no Jew-only roads. Israeli Arabs use all the same roads that we do, but every road in Gaza doesn't allow Jews. Then why do the Jews have different license plates? Because Israel is a different country. Gaza was its own country, and the West Bank was in the process of becoming a different country, just like they wanted. Pretty soon, if they hadn't done October 7th, pretty soon the Palestinians would have had their own passports, and they would look different than the Israelis. But I guarantee you, they go, oh, why is there apartheid? Apartheid! It's your own country. The next lie they use is Israel is starving the people of Gaza. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
It's not true. We answer that by first pointing out who started this war. Before October 7th, there was a ceasefire. There was a ceasefire in place on October 6th. They broke it the next day. There was a ceasefire. The Palestinians broke that ceasefire when they attacked innocent Israelis in their homes, murdering innocent men, women, and children, and taking 251 hostages. That's women and children, including Holocaust survivors. They took Holocaust survivors. Foreign nationals. The foreign nationals had nothing to do with this. They were just there on work visas. They have nothing to do with this thing.
And Americans.
And Americans. Also, tons of food was allowed into Gaza, even though the Israelis knew that Hamas was commandeering these shipments once they arrived. This is known by both sides. Even the New York Times wrote about this. As Gaza scrounges for food and water, which wasn't true, but it says Hamas sits on a rich trove of supplies. That's on their side. The liberals are saying this. So a protester comes up to you like, your side is saying that there's tons of food. And we have proof that there's tons of food because we have pictures of it. We even have proof that Palestinians are opening restaurants in Gaza. Okay? This is from an Arab publication. Did I show that video once?
Yes.
We have that. It talks about it on Arabic websites. We have pictures and documentation available that shows Hamas stockpiling the food shipments that have been given, that have been sent for the people of Gaza. Now, if you meet somebody on that when we're out there, And they're one of the, some of these guys, it doesn't matter what you say to them. These are the kind of people that they can stand right in front of me, and I could say, and this person could be a trans, and I can say, well, I'm sorry, but you're actually a man, even though you're dressed up like a girl. And they will argue that.
Yeah.
This whole thing with the trans, I think, is worse than a lot of people think. Because what it's doing is it is denying basic truths. If you can get people to deny what they can see right in front of them, right? Then there is no truth.
Yeah.
Truth disappears. Because it's right there. You can prove it. And still it means nothing to them. So you're going to run into people like that. You may even on this next week, you may run in. I've been doing this for almost 2 weeks now, dealing with these people. And I tell them, I said, look, I'm not trying to convince you. We had another one that went viral. There was over like 1,300 comments on another thing that we did. So I said, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm saying this to people who may be reading this, who are honestly seeking answers. They want to know the truth. They don't know. They've heard so much on the news. They heard it from their friends. They heard it from their teachers, everything. They want to know. That's who we're doing this for. Not for the people that have already made up their minds. Okay? So we have pictures, documentation. I'm going to have it all in my little folder. So they're stockpiling the food shipments that have been sent for the people of Gaza. But in spite of high prices charged by Hamas, they're getting this food and then they're charging their people outrageous amounts. But still, in spite of that, the Palestinians have been able to afford the food, similar to the way Americans have been able to survive in spite of the high grocery prices here. It's not easy, it's tough, but we can do it. We're not starving to death. So the pepper spray goes like this. The Israelis are starving the children of Gaza. There isn't a shortage of food in Gaza. In fact, restaurants are opening up, and the Gazans are being sent millions of dollars by many nations to rebuild Gaza. The food is there. We have documentation and videos to prove that. But the children are dying. We have to save the children. That's a common response. What we say to that is that the people of Gaza were worried about their children. They shouldn't have terrorized their much stronger neighbor.
Yeah.
Stop hiding behind them.
Yeah, and stop hiding behind them. If I intentionally poke the eye of a bodybuilder, I can prepare to be stomped on. Okay? And that's what they don't seem to realize. Okay? And I said, this could stop any day. Give us the hostages back. The war is over. Right? So we're going to talk about some more about that in just a second. Many times the Palestinians have attacked Israel. So they know that Israel is going to retaliate in order to protect its citizens. Remember, the Palestinians killed Israeli Palestinians on October 7th as well. It wasn't just Jews. So Israel has to protect those Palestinians also. And they don't realize it, but they're protecting their people anyways. If you go out and start throwing rocks at the soldiers will return fire. So by stopping this whole thing, they're even protecting those rock throwers. Okay? Palestinians, however, use their children to hide behind return fire. They can't cry about their children getting hurt when they are the ones directly responsible for putting them in harm's way in the first place. The Palestinians, some will say, oh, the Palestinians won't do that to their kids. They would never, that's all propaganda. They'll say it's all propaganda. Well, let's see what they say. This is out of a newspaper. It says, I asked Sinwar, is it worth 10,000, this war, is it worth 10,000 innocent Gazans dying? This is the leader of the Palestinians in Gaza. He said even 100,000 is worth it.
Wow.
So they don't care. So if they want to approach you, why don't you care? So, well, why don't they care? Why don't the Palestinians care? Why don't their leaders care? You support their leaders. 80% of the Palestinians support Hamas. Now. Even now. So how come we have to care about your kids when you don't even care about your own kids? The Palestinians will tell you themselves that they are honored to sacrifice their children in jihad. In an article in Al Jazeera, their newspaper, the headlines read, why do Palestinian teens dream of martyrdom? And it's not just in Jenin, it's everywhere. All throughout the West Bank, all throughout Gaza. They dream of this. It's common over there, not just in Jenin, but all over the West Bank of Gaza. That's why the Israelis had to put up a wall. This is when they may make the charge that Gaza has always been an open-air prison. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
It's an open-air prison. And that's why they fought on October 7th. Well, we have an answer to that. Gaza was a paradise before October 7th. Sure, they have some ghettos. I mean, I've been there. I've been to those ghettos. I don't like being in any Islamic area. But I've been in their ghettos as well. I don't ever want to go back. I don't tell them that part. I say, sure, they have ghettos. Sure, they have ghettos. But we have homeless people right here in Wenatchee down by the bridge. We have our bad areas too. I don't know any major city that doesn't have, the bad side of the tracks or whatever, the bad area. Okay? This is Gaza before the war. Does that look like an open-air prison to you? We have these pictures. They'll be in the book. Pictures of Gaza before October 7th. This was published by the Gazans. Does that look like an open-air prison to you? What about this one? This is before October 7th. I don't tell them this, but I still hated it. It still was dirty. They're not clean. It was still dirty. But for a Muslim country, what else can you expect? It's going to be dirty. If that's an open-air prison, wow, that's what I tell them. Then sign me up. I wouldn't want to go there, though.
Yeah.
See, the protesters will try to play both sides, okay? They say, oh, it was an open-air prison. But then another time they say, oh, it was so beautiful before those horrible Israelis attacked those poor innocent people. They play both sides a lot. Okay? They speak out of two sides of their mouth. We will have those pictures available at the protest. Just call me over. I'll have all this material handy. Another thing I often hear, those Palestinians are so brave. They're so brave. Well, let's see what the leader says. Sinwar, the Hamas leader, linked to the October, he's like the leader of the October 7th attacks, who once stated that it would be an honor to die fighting Israel, has made his own survival a prerequisite for any ceasefire in Gaza. Oh yeah, they can all go die, but not him. Sinwar has stressed that his safety must be guaranteed and that Israel should not target him. Fat chance.
Yeah.
Fat chance. The Israelis are committing genocide. That's a huge one that they hurl towards us.
Yeah.
Here's the pepper spray response. In order for there to be a genocide, there has to be no way of the people that are being killed to stop it. You can't, if they surrender, it's over. There's no more bombing, no more nothing. If they surrender, you can't have a genocide when you have the power to end it. It's one of the definitions of a genocide. Right? Like, say somebody's coming to hurt you. Say a guy's coming to murder you. He says, if you just say hi to me, then I'm not going to murder you. It's in your power to stop it. You can't say, I won't say hi, and then he tries to murder you and you get hurt. Then you go, I don't know what happened. I don't know. You could have stopped it. I'm not saying it's okay the guy to murder you, but you could have stopped it. There is no genocide happening in Gaza. It's not happening. But even if it was, we'll say, okay, they can stop it at any moment. Give the hostages back. It's over. It's done. Like I showed earlier, Hanania, they're murdering civilians. Hanania Naftali said that for every innocent that's been killed in Gaza, we have lost a soldier. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. And they'll say, well, you're just quoting the Israeli numbers. All right, you're just quoting the Israeli numbers. Well, you're just quoting Hamas's numbers when you say 40,000. That's Hamas's numbers. And our numbers are more valid than theirs because we've shown them this stuff. So look, they lied here, they lied here, they lied there. So this answers most of their accusations. There's many, many more. I have one that I can show you if you want. I have a picture of a map that's prior to 1948 of Israel in Arabic. In Arabic, it's an Arabic map. And the picture does not, the map does not say Palestine. It says Israel and Judah from just prior to 1948. Because one of the things they always say, oh, there was no Israel before 1948. Show me a map. Show me a map. Well, I found one. And I show it to them. And that will also be in the book because it may come up. They'll say there was no, they'll say, show me a map before 1948. So, okay, we got it. And it's in Arabic. It says that you see it in English, but it's in Arabic. So that answers most of the accusations. I have dozens more. And they're ready to go if we need them. See you at 10 a.m. by the courthouse next week. I hope you enjoyed the teaching.